The connection between medieval dance and combat runs deeper than you might think. Knights weren't just warriors. They were performers who mastered a blend of dance and swordplay. Today we'll explore how these two art forms shaped medieval combat training. Medieval knights had a secret weapon in their training: dance. When knights practiced their footwork, they weren't just learning battle moves. They were actually following dance patterns similar to what you'd see at a royal ball. The connection makes perfect sense. Both dancing and sword fighting require precise timing, smooth movement, and total body control. Knights would practice steps called padames, fancy footwork that worked just as well for dodging a sword as it did for moving across a ballroom. Dance masters often doubled as combat instructors, teaching knights how to flow between positions with grace and speed. This wasn't just about looking good. These dance-like movements helped knights stay light on their feet and ready to react in battle. By combining dance and combat training, medieval warriors developed better balance, rhythm, and coordination, all crucial skills for staying alive in a sword fight. Let's step inside the hidden world of medieval training halls, where knights refined their unique blend of dance and combat skills. These special training spaces were often tucked away in castle basements or private courtyards, away from curious eyes. Inside these halls, you'd find mirrors lining the walls, not for vanity, but to help knights perfect their form. Training dummies called pels stood ready for practice, while wooden dance floors helped knights master their footwork without slipping. These weren't just training rooms. They were learning spaces where knights would spend hours practicing with dance masters and weapon instructors. The halls had markings on the floor, similar to modern dance studios, helping knights learn specific movement patterns. Some halls even used music during training sessions, helping knights develop their sense of timing and rhythm. These secret spaces played a huge role in creating the skilled warrior dancers of medieval times. The connection between medieval footwork and modern fencing is amazing, and you can still see it today in fencing schools. Those basic fencing moves you might recognize, the advance, retreat, and lunge, come straight from medieval dance steps. Take the passata sotto, a smooth ducking motion that looks just like a dance move but helps fighters dodge attacks. Modern fencers practice these same movements, often without knowing they're performing steps that medieval knights learned from dance masters. The timing in fencing matches even follows a similar rhythm to medieval court dances, with quick advances followed by careful retreats. Think of it like a deadly dance where partners move back and forth, looking for the perfect moment to strike. Even Olympic fencers today train with dance exercises to improve their footwork, carrying on a tradition that's centuries old. When medieval royalty wanted entertainment, they didn't just watch regular tournaments. They enjoyed carefully planned battle performances that were part dance, part combat. These shows, called padam, were like medieval Broadway productions with swords. Knights would perform detailed fight sequences that showed off both their combat skills and dancing ability. They wore their finest armor, decorated with colorful ribbons and plumes, and fought according to strict rules and timing. The audience would watch from decorated viewing stands as knights moved through complex patterns, their weapons clashing in time with music played by court musicians. These weren't random fights. Every move was practiced for weeks, just like a dance recital. The winners weren't always decided by skill. Sometimes the script called for specific knights to win for political reasons. It was medieval show business at its finest. The connection between music and medieval combat was crucial for both training and actual battles. War drums weren't just for show. They helped soldiers stay in sync during fights and kept morale high. In training halls, musicians played specific rhythms that matched different sword techniques, helping knights memorize attack patterns. The tempo would change based on the type of move being practiced. Quick beats for fast strikes, slower rhythms for defensive stances. Court musicians created special training songs that matched the timing of popular dance steps, making it easier for knights to remember their combat moves. Some combat teachers even developed a simple musical system where different notes meant different attacks, like an early form of combat notation. This musical approach to training helped knights develop better timing and made complex move sequences easier to remember. The tradition actually influenced early fencing schools, where instructors still used musical cues well into the Renaissance period. The people who taught medieval knights weren't just regular combat teachers. They were experts in both fighting and dancing, known as master-at-arms. These skilled teachers could switch between showing a deadly sword technique and teaching the latest court dance without missing a beat. Most of them started as dancers or performers before learning combat skills, bringing a unique style to warrior training. They taught knights that good footwork was the key to both staying alive in battle and looking impressive at royal parties. These masters created training systems mixing dance patterns with sword moves, helping students remember complex fighting techniques. They were highly respected and well paid, often serving multiple noble families. Some even wrote detailed training guides that combined dance steps with combat moves. Their teaching methods were so effective that many of their ideas about movement and balance are still used in modern martial arts and dance training. During peaceful times when weapons practice wasn't allowed, knights got creative. They turned dance into secret combat training. They would practice what looked like normal court dances, but each move had a hidden fighting purpose. A simple bow could be practiced for dodging a sword strike, while a spin in a dance could represent a defensive turn in battle. These dance sessions let knights stay sharp without raising suspicion. Dance patterns called basse dance were especially useful. They matched the exact footwork needed for sword fighting. Knights would practice these moves at social events, appearing to enjoy themselves while actually rehearsing battle techniques. Even hand positions in formal dances often match sword grips, letting knights practice their weapon handling in plain sight. This clever system helped warriors maintain their skills during times when open combat training was restricted. Medieval tournaments were much more than just fighting. They were huge shows that combined sports, theatre, and dance into one spectacular event. Knights would enter the arena in detailed costumes, their armor decorated with their family colors and symbols. The whole thing followed a strict script, starting with a grand parade where knights showed off their dancing skills while mounted on horses. Before any fighting began, competitors performed choreographed movements called the passage of arms. Think of it as a medieval version of a pre-game show. The audience got really into it, cheering for their favorite knights like modern sports fans. Even the combat itself had theatrical elements, with specific rules about how to strike poses between exchanges and how to acknowledge the crowd. Trumpets and drums kept time during the matches, turning sword fights into something like a dangerous dance performance. Religion played a fascinating role in how knights approached their combat training. Many of their movements had hidden spiritual meanings. The cross-shaped attack pattern wasn't just practical, it represented divine protection. Before training, knights would often perform special movements that looked like dance steps but were actually prayers in motion. Their training halls frequently featured religious symbols, and knights would touch these for blessing before practice. The number 3 showed up often in combat sequences, matching the Holy Trinity. Even the way knights saluted before a fight, touching their sword to their heart, then raising it to the sky, was a physical prayer. Some combat teachers were monks who brought religious elements into their lessons. Training often started with movements that traced sacred shapes on the ground, asking for heavenly guidance. These traditions added deeper meaning to what might otherwise have been just physical exercise. The influence of medieval knight training still shows up in surprising ways today. Modern military drills use similar rhythm and timing principles. Just watch a military parade and you'll see that same blend of precise movement and combat readiness. Many martial arts schools teach footwork patterns that look remarkably similar to those old knight training steps. Take Aikido, for example. Its flowing movements and emphasis on balance mirror medieval combat dance techniques. Even military academies use dance classes to help cadets develop better coordination and spatial awareness. Police and special forces training includes movement drills that would look familiar to medieval knights. The focus on rhythm, precise footwork, and fluid motion hasn't changed much in centuries. Modern fencing schools still teach sequences that combine dance-like grace with fighting effectiveness. It's amazing how these ancient training methods have stayed relevant and keep showing up in new forms. Thanks for joining us on this journey through medieval combat and dance. The connection between these arts still influences how we train fighters today. If you enjoyed learning these historical secrets, hit like, subscribe, and share with fellow history fans.